What terrified you as a kid that isn't scary now? Asking my grandpa a question. Man, was he intimidating to talk to as a kid. Now I love talking to him when I can. That's awesome that he's still around for you to talk to. Then I wish I'd talked to both of my grandpas more. Same. One gone. One's mind is gone. / paint. I thought if you got it on you, it would never come off, since it never came off of the walls. My apartment begs to differ. And my Tesla. Seriously, what are they using in their paint? There was a huge abandoned windmill in our neighborhood that once pumped water from the river. At random, the windmill blades would start to turn at night, never in the day. As kids that used to hang out nearby, it felt like the windmill was haunted as it came to life at dark hours. Probably a result of the metal cooling down after a day in the sun. Who are you so wise in the ways of science? Running up the basement stairs after turning off the light. J/K, that crap is still terrifying. I'm 35 and I still do this. If someone says they don't, I'm pretty sure they're lying. That worms would come out of my shower head. A snake would come out of the toilet and bite me while I was sitting on it, especially in the middle of the night. I still check. I'm 32. The video for Mitchell Jackson's Thriller. The very last scene where it appeared to be just a dream and Michael's looking normal, but then he turns around and stares at you with the werewolf eyes. That terrified me. And that laugh. My god, that laugh. My grandmother's wallpaper at night. Every time I have a ghost dream, it's always in my grandma's house and always in the room with the rose wallpaper. No idea why. This is creepy as hell, and I like it. Bees and wasps. To be honest, I still prefer they don't buzz around me, but when I was little I remained a safe 5 meters away from them. A bee landed on me while I was outside today. I just stayed calm and didn't move much, and he went along on his way. Meanwhile, wasps. I'm still terrified of wasps. I've only been stung once. It was by a bee in 4th grade when I was sitting down listening to the teacher. I wasn't moving in the slightest, but that little frick still stung me. Over a decade later, I'm still terrified of them. Flushing the toilet. Did you watch those bizarre commercials with the talking toilet in the early 90s that scared you as a kid too? No, I watched Stephen King's It, and I realize all pipes go to the same place, and if he could come out of the drain and the shower, then he can also come out of the toilet. The Beast from the Sandlet. Freaked me out back then, but now that I can see how low budget the dog looks, still an amazing movie by the way, I find it a bit less scary. Once I realized the kids were scared of a dog, I was so confused. As soon as I could hop fences, I was jumping into yards to play with dogs. I have no idea how I'm alive. When I was a kid, for many years I had only seen the first half of the movie or so I didn't see the scene where the dog chases the kid through town. So I just assumed the beast was like a lion or something. Something genuinely terrifying. I saw the full movie when I was maybe 9 or 10 and saw it was just a dog and had no idea why I was supposed to be scared. Thunderstorms. I used to hide under the covers and could only run from the room between flashes. Now I will sit at the window and watch. I love a good thunderstorm now. All it took was a very weird 9-ish-year-old me to stand at the window during a big storm and yell things like, "Is that all you've got?" Yeah, kinda like Lieutenant Dan, but before I ever saw Forrest Gump. When I was a teenager I was home alone a lot, so when it would storm I'd run over to the neighbors. However, they never let anyone in their house, so he'd stand outside in the storm with me, so I wasn't alone. Stay in a house where I'm dry alone, or stand out in it. Yeah, I wasn't the smartest kid sometimes. I feel like there is so much more to this story. The Bermuda Triangle. I've encountered it a lot less than I thought I would have. Same goes for quicksand. Rattlesnakes in ancient temples. Jesus randomly showing up during dinner. I thought he'd use the door. Clearly I was raised to fear the wrath of God. I have a reoccurring dream showing the second coming, and I'm not ready. Scares the crap out of me. Most likely to me falling out of my religion. I get those sometimes. Usually after the rapture, and I'm stuck on earth. Church really messed me up. The dark. Just kidding, I'm still a little bish. I had to sleep with a night light or hall light or TV on my whole life. Then I just stopped. And now it can never be dark enough. I love hotels. Dude, same. I don't sleep near as well if I don't have absolute darkness. Act turned down way low in my fan. 4 feet from my face lol. I love hotels as well. One of my favorite things to do. Sometimes I'll get a room in my own town just to sleep in one for a night or two. Good times. The movie Jeepers Creepers. I found the creeper much scarier before we even saw its face. Like it was just some deranged person collecting people's body parts and making a human quilt out of their skin. Instead it's just some demon-like creature that collects body parts to replace his own. The little doll guys from the movie 9. Scared me when I was like 6. Love that movie. I've never finished it. What's it even about? Nothing. Everything is 1,000,000 times scarier now than it was when I was a kid. Yeah, and if you're single, don't even get me started. I'm terrified to live alone because I'm not sure who will guard my house from intruders. Probably my gun and a big German shepherd. My bedroom as a kid was a den converted into a bedroom/laundry room, and one wall was covered in a black mirror with gold paint flecks. Very 70s. But at night the shadows combined with the dark glass and paint made me imagine faces, figures, etc. It really scared me, and I would line up my stuffed animals along my bed to protect me. I too was protected by a line of stuffed animals. The monsters didn't get me, so it must have worked. I did somewhat the same thing, but I made forts out of Jenga bricks, Legos, and toy soldiers to protect me in my sleep. Balloons. Specifically, balloons popping. When I was really young my dad popped one near my face as a joke, but it really traumatized me. I hated going to birthday parties because there were always games where you had to pop a balloon in some form. Me too. I hated it so much and would get so scared every time, even when I knew it was coming. Why are there so many games centered around balloon popping, and why did grown-ups think it's so funny that we were scared? Probably because grown-ups can't hear as well and have forgotten how startlingly loud it can be. As a little kid, a balloon popping in your face may be one of the loudest things you've ever heard. Being spanked. It's gone from being a punishment to being a reward. Same as naps. Catching fire. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to get set on fire at all, but the amount of stop, drop, and roll lessons I got in kindergarten made me think this was going to be a once-a-year thing at minimum. Wow. I hadn't even thought about how much they drilled this into us. Better safe than sorry, yeah, but man, it did kinda freak me out. Quicksand. Really thought it was a major issue. It was on almost half of the shows I watched as a kid. I can see how you'd think that. Seeing a scary thumbnail on a YouTube video and randomly think of it throughout the day. The thumbnail for sources why are things creepy. Creeped me out, so I guess it did its job. Yes, that photo is terrifying. Large Marge. Large Marge is the only reason I refuse to show my kids Pee-wee's Big Adventure. They must know. The knitting. And knitting. I haven't knitting. Sun death. Also, I cried when I saw a black woman for the first time. My husband's cousin saw a black man for the first time whilst in a store. He was maybe 6, 8-year. He yelled, "Look mom. A Michael Jackson," at the top of his lungs. Not Michael Jackson. A Michael Jackson. We still tease him about it. His mom was of course mortified. The area was not very diverse in the 80s. It's very weird that some people were raised with a black Michael Jackson and some people such as myself were not. Gorillas. That SpongeBob episode as a kid scarred me. I would have to close my eyes once that part came on, and my brother had to tell me when it was over. My uncle, knowing I was scared of it, told me killer gorillas lived in the dark part of the basement, so every time I went down there for something, I'd sprint full speed back up the stairs. My sister told me gorillas lived behind the plumbing access panel in the hall closet, so I feel your pain. They do. I was always afraid of Baby Bell cheese. Not sure why, but I'm over it now that I'm older. A few months ago I bought some Baby Bell at a gas station in a tiny town while on a road trip. It tasted off, and I noticed that it expired in 2018. I'm now afraid of Baby Bell. My ever-growing apathy towards life took out most fears. Foot hanging off the bed and monsters can get me. Good. I have work in the morning. I sleep with my feet hanging out of the bed and half woke up one morning and it felt like someone was massaging my feet. It was bliss. I don't know if it was some form of sleep paralysis or a ghost or what, as I didn't look because I didn't want it to stop. Lovely way to start the day. A ghost with a foot fetish lol. Hades from Hercules. Now I like him better than any other villain. Yes, Hades is the best villain, chef's kiss. This one is completely random. The song, One Way or Another, scared me so badly me as a child. I would cover my ears when it played. My big sister worked at the skating rink and would do double duty babysitting me while she worked. They played that song exactly one time while we were there. I freaked out. It was dark in there and the song was loud and coming from everywhere. They had this little coin operated cartoon booth, sort of like a photo booth. Get in, draw the curtain. But instead of a camera, there is a television. You put in a quarter and it plays a random cartoon. I hid in there, scream, crying and kicking anyone who tried to check on me with roller skate clad feet. They turned the music off completely so that my sister could get me out of the booth. My sister made sure that they never played it while I was there again. Another time we were watching the Muppet Show and there was a pretty blonde woman hosting. Then this bitch starts singing One Way with a bunch of freaking monsters. I jumped up and ran to my room and hid in my closet. I couldn't trust my favorite TV shows anymore either. I have no idea why I was so afraid of that song, but it genuinely terrified me. I like it fine now. That's some straight up Stephen King vibes. I can picture the dark skating ring, maybe some disco lights, sound coming from everywhere, feeling panicked and chased. Then when life gets back to normal, the song starts popping up in unexpected places, like it's haunting you. Thistles and cacti. Basically any plant that had nasty spikes. Whenever I'd walk in a grass field and see a tiny thistle plant near my foot, I would stop dead in my tracks and call for help. Nowadays, I still get uneased at the thought of falling onto those things, especially the giant thistles. I fell into a gorse bush once. It took me nearly a month to get all of the spikes and splinters out. They didn't hurt and weren't infected or anything, but they were there. A stuffed, dead pheasant my dad shot while hunting. It scared me so much he had to keep it in the garage. Velociraptors. I swore he lived in my bedroom closet. I watched the movie with my cousins on Thanksgiving when I was little, and to this day I've never watched the whole thing. It doesn't terrify me anymore, but I just don't have any desire to watch it. Yeah, it scared the crap out of me when I was a very little kid. The guy looks like a monster, not a friendly alien. Coffee pot makes a boiling/gurgling sound. 5-year-old me waking up. WTF is in this house. My mom had an old-fashioned percolator. My sister and I thought it was the funnest thing in the world to sit in the kitchen and listen to the coffee make a burp over and over again. Every Sunday morning, for 5 to 7 minutes, we'd sit at the table giggling, saying, "Excuse you," while the coffee brewed. Talking to people. Wait, no, it still terrifies me, never mind. Don't talk to strangers. Okay mom. Later, why don't you talk to anybody? Being 30, when you're a teenager 30 years old. Hang in there, 70 is great. It was hell getting here, but now I'm on easy street. What's 70 like? I heard getting older is painful. Is it retiring and not having to worry about work? Fantasia Mickey. Pretty sure it was a nightmare that started it, but I was terrified of him for several years. My sisters then thought it was funny to hide a little figurine of him in my room and move it around at random to scare me even more. For me it wasn't Fantasia Mickey, it was those goddamn brooms. I had nightmares about them. The Unsolved Mysteries theme music. Hearing that, then stories of missing kids and ghosts led to many sleepless nights as a kid. Adult me binge watches the show now. Bad grades. Can't get bad grades if you're not in school anymore. I still dream That I have missed every class all semester and have an exam today. I have been out of school for 10 years. The movie Mars Attacks. Ack ack ack. The space under the bed. Escalators. Many thanks to Rescue 911 for convincing me I was going to get eaten by one if my shoe wasn't tied. I was sucked into an escalator for that exact reason. I was also terrified of strangers and was pulled out by a giant man whom I did not know. My parents didn't notice at first because they were too busy arguing. A vacation. Literally my own shadow.